All right, I'm really excited to release this episode. I knew that I wanted to have guests on my podcast, and I knew that I wanted my first guest to be my friend Mark, who is such a boss and so totally embodies what I want this podcast to be about, right? Just the love of life. And so when I asked him, like, do you want me to send any, have any sort of link or like a way to promote him or like, send people his way, he was just not about it. He's like, don't even use my last name, just Mark. And I think that's awesome because the conversation that I had with him, I felt was so satisfying and productive and fun. And the reason why I wanted to have him as my first guest is because every time that I leave having a conversation with Mark, anytime I finish spending time with Mark, I just leave feeling like a better version of myself. I leave feeling reinvigorated and so enthusiastic about life, and he just has this like infectious optimism kind of about him, I think, in my experience. And so I'm super happy to I just thought, I was like, what I said to him is, I said, it's so much fun when we hang out. I just want to share that. And so without further ado, here is, and we were talking for probably at least 2.5 hours, and this app, I realized, can only record for 1 hour at a time. So here is, so we simply only recorded the first hour of our conversation, but here it is anyways. I hope you enjoy it My friend Mark.
Hello, Latu.
Hello. Welcome. I'm actually just going to undo this. Welcome to my studio.
I love it in here. You have ample leg room.
Yeah. It's actually filthy. I just want you to confirm that there's some floss.
No, I like what you've done with the place. You never know when you might need to floss your way out of a tight situation.
No, I actually carry a dental floss in here, but because I'm 20 years old now, and I actually started flossing like pretty regularly because of this. Check it out.
You just keep that fang on you.
Yeah, because they're the ones on the sticks, and just when I'm just driving.
Yeah, no,
like,
I swear by the stick ones, man. How do you get those molars with the string? Fuck that.
Which one?
Like
the molars?
That old school, just like break off a piece.
Yeah, it's so hard, and your finger like starts getting, the circulation gets cut off.
Because it's waxy.
Your
Yeah,
fingertips go like purple. I get so tight. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm getting concerned that we're gonna get too warm.
Yeah, it's fine. I was born for the heat.
Right, I like recorded just a podcast, that one that you were talking about, the last one. And my car was so hot, I was actually starting to sweat.
You're having a bit of a time.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit. Okay.
That tree's doing its best though. It's really trying.
Which one?
The one that's giving us some shade.
Yeah. I guess I'm being like anxious for you that you're gonna get too hot.
I work in the sun all day, man.
Really? You're
good?
Oh, sweet. Okay, that's good. Okay. So how do we like segue into, I guess...
Into life.
Maybe don't think about into life. Yes!
Let it be stated for the record, I just bonked my head. All right.
That's not the most spacious studio. But it's...
Yeah, next time I'll bring headgear.
I might have some.
Life's tough, get a helmet, man.
I actually have mine, but it's sweaty in the trunk, so you probably don't want it.
No, I'm alright.
Okay. Fuck. I think it's making me nervous up there. I'm getting like stage fright.
No, we're good, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. We're here, we're present. About to have a nice conversation. We're just taking our time getting there, man. But anything worth doing is worth taking your time. So.
That's so true. It's worth taking your time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the will to power.
The will to power. I wish I was a little more prepared for this conversation, but I would do my best.
Oh my gosh.
No, we're good. We're good.
Good job.
I was like, oh, we're just gonna get right into some Nietzsche.
No. Okay, no.
No, I'm
I'm
just teasing you. We're having fun. The will to power.
I just want to know like what it means to you and
To
like
me.
Yeah.
So basically, oh man, where to start? The will to power. Basically, the realization, manifestation of your ideas into something like that is effective on the world around you, and like actually because that is how you influence the world. You have an idea, and then you apply force in some, usually destructive but creative measure. Like, you want to carve something, you got to chop a block of wood, right? But that's it. You in turn, you can see the finished product in your mind, and you execute the things you need to out in the world in order to manifest that object, which hopefully will outlast you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something larger, and that is the will to power. That's a very simplified kind of idea, but just like, that's the kind of attitude that it took to rule an empire like Rome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of, because somebody had to fucking take the reins, have an idea, have a concept, and see it executed out in the world, usually through the application of force. That part, it gets a little sticky, because what do you justify? Like, how much force? You know what I mean? The end's got to justify the means. So, but yeah, as far as my understanding of it is, it's you kind of accepting the fact and the responsibility that you can apply your will to the world around you and create something.
Yeah, and everybody can do that.
No. Some people don't have that in them.
Right.
They could, maybe.
Exactly.
They could, but like a lot, it's
they don't utilize that power.
I mean, I should back up a little bit. Nietzsche believed that there were basically two types of people. There were people who had the Ubermensch mentality, who could like seize the reins, and they were capable. They held themselves erect. They were self-sufficient, and they were productive, and they could do these things. Right? They had the will to aspire to in some ways control their environment. Which, I mean, if you want to get all Jordan Peterson on it, it's like, there's the benevolent father and the tyrannical king, right? It's like, it gets a little sketchy when somebody has the ability to do things on such a scale, when the other equation is that some people are pretty helpless. At least that's like the Nietzschean idea, and that was like the last man slave mentality. That like some people, for whatever reason, lack the tools or the capacity to seize destiny, in a way, right?
But, oh man, that idea of like polarity that's always expressed, like good and evil, right? Like, the thing that I think I've noticed about that is that those things exist in the same thing. You couldn't have one without the other.
Absolutely.
So even though it's like these are opposites, these are opposing things, it's actually the same thing ultimately. And so, okay, so I the will to power, that idea, like that, I think it's something like the power. It's just basically realizing your own power, realizing how much influence you have on the world around you, if only you like decide what you want to do. And that requires like identifying meaning in your life. Like,
yes. Orientation. That's the entire thing. Because if you're not oriented towards anything, what are you creating?
Yeah.
Probably nothing.
Yeah.
And all of your energy is most likely wasted on self-indulgence rather than anything creative. And there's no power in being harmless.
Exactly.
There's no power in being helpless.
I like that thing that Jordan Peterson says about like, he's like, there's nothing, what do you say? Like, there's nothing noble virtuous
and
about
noble,
What is it? You say it.
Oh, no, I think you got it.
Okay, nothing virtuous about being harmless. He's like, you want to be
formidable.
Ooh.
I don't know if he used that word, but that's what I understood, is that like it doesn't mean that you're gonna go around and bully everybody, but you want to have the capability to be the baddest motherfucker in the room. It is not there's no advantage to being helpless. You know what I mean? You're not. Who are you helping?
Yeah.
You can just be pushed over, right? And it's just like,
and you want to be dangerous, but like.
Control. What did he call it? The integration of the shadow, right? That was the Jordan Peterson idea. Is that like everybody has a monster in them? It's just how do you use it and how do you apply it? And this is where you get a little more philosophical and like what is good and bad and right and wrong, like you were saying, right? But a lot of these things share similar gray areas.
Well, I think it's so hilarious that we like obsess over trying to find this like one truth, when the nature of the life experience here is that like we're all this thing that's alive, experiencing it from different places and different perspectives and different moments in time. Like our whole history has shaped us all in different ways, but now we're experiencing this time at the same time together, and we want to like agree on this one thing that's true, but it's like it's going to be, what's true is going to be different for everybody because they're going to see it and understand it in a different way.
Hey, just as a little side note, because I was telling you I've been reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, which is like one of the most foremost like it's pretty much like the Bible of stoicism, I guess. It's a lot. It's a lot of people's like go to that, and Epictetus, which I'm not familiar with yet, but I'm working on him. He sounds like an interesting character. But Marcus Aurelius, he talks a lot about, and I'm trying to get a grasp on it, but and two things. One, like, what does it take to be a proper Roman, whether you're a ruler or like a, just a citizen or like whatever. And then things that he refers to as things that are natural. And he talks a lot about the separation of like the mind and the soul, and how the mind has to be the master of the soul. And like, but just because they embrace each other sympathetically, because they're attached to the same thing, right? He says that, oh, hold on, I just had.
It's okay.
It's important to like acknowledge like the natural laws of things, even though you should have control over your lust, and you should have, the ability to moderate your more carnal desires and animalistic tendencies, but things that happen naturally cannot be good or bad. So whether it's sickness or struggle, or like everything struggles, like it is normal to have your hands hurt and your feet hurt if you're walking and you're working. So these pains can't be considered to be bad. They're natural. And like that's oh man, getting to like that place where it's just like, dude, shit just happens. You know what I mean? And like sometimes like that's just the way the world works, and there's certain things you got to learn to let go. But that's a little side tangent. I mean to get distracted. But
No,
I
that's good.
I just thought that was really interesting. The fact that just like trying to frame things more in a like trying to notice the patterns of like what is just like natural behavior. And it doesn't mean you have to be a slave to your instincts, but just like get in touch with them. You know what I mean? And know them, and like.
Because then you don't have to feel like ashamed or like judgmental about yourself and think that you're doing like something good or bad, or or other people. Because
not if you can own them and take responsibility for them, right? And that's a big thing. And that's kind of, I don't know, in a lot of ways that's something that I'm trying to manifest in my own life. It's just like taking more control, just over little things, man. Like nothing has to upset you, really.
Yeah.
You can just live in the present, and when bad things happen and they start passing by you can just let go. That's something that it's really tough, man. It's really hard, especially like, I don't know about you, I get road rage.
Oh, do you?
Oh, fucking big time. And like, fucking big time. I'm you know how people drive around here. It's terrible. Knight Street Bridge. Oh my god.
Remember, have you heard of that's like people react like that because it's like such a, that it's so dangerous, that at any moment, if you did get in a collision, it could be life or death. And so that like is what causes the enragement. Yeah. If you will.
Because you're getting ready to jump into action, right?
Yeah.
You feel threatened.
Yeah.
But it's just.
But then.
So I can accept that these feelings are natural, but I can also decide whether or not I want them to play out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like, as much as you want to be conscious about the fact that you can put force out into the world and like, change things for the better or the worse based on your actions, but like what you can do internally, what you choose to allow to take root, because the mind is just, it's a garden, man. And if you plant potatoes, you're going to get potatoes. If you plant poison nightshade, you're going to get nightshade. So, do you want to get mad every time somebody cuts you off? Like, you just want to keep planting that fucking seed.
And it needs to be tended to. You don't just let it like grow willy-nilly, and like you got to pay attention to it, and notice when things are coming up and make the appropriate adjustments.
Sorry.
It's okay, just keep it on there. Yeah. Oh man, so good. This window doesn't work. There's no handle here. Nice.
How'd you do that?
It just came like that. This was my dad's.
Right.
And It's it's so funny. It's always a thing that like not everything in the car works. Like he had this old truck that I would use, and one of the doors
remember that
wouldn't
truck,
open.
that
Do you
white
remember?
one?
Yeah, the white one. Wow. What else? Oh, there was no rear view mirror on one of them. Who needs them, right?
No, I don't.
Shoulder check both.
I'm kidding. That's my work truck, for the record. It's got a box on the back, so you can't. There's no rear view window.
No need.
No.
No mirror.
Oh, it actually, no. I take that back. It does have one. It's useless. I mean, so we just fold it up.
Oh, nice.
So the sun doesn't glare in my eyes. Well, sometimes you catch a beam.
Sometimes you catch a beam.
You know?
Yes.
I wish they had visors that flip down from the side as well. Like, why can't I just have a fortress?
Don't they?
No, man. I mean, you can do this, but like, what if the sun's right there?
Oh yeah, if it's in the middle.
Just like right, like that sweet spot where you're gonna get fucked on both sides of the door.
Just swerve and crash, but don't have the sun in your eyes for that moment.
Oh, the worst is when you're taking a turnpike like onto the highway, and like just as you're making the round, it's just like right.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. You know what's funny? That happens to be the same place every day, and I'd just I know it's coming. I could. You think I would, anyways? I don't.
Do you like having that interaction? Like every, like I know
It's funny.
every day.
It's funny, but like it's not. Yeah.
But then that's it. That's all you needed to know.
Yeah.
It's funny, man. That was just funny.
I know you do. Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You've been chuckling for years, man.
Yeah.
I seen it. I was there.
Oh my gosh. You know what's so funny is because we didn't become friends until Sigma.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I would see you around the halls in Dub at New West, and I just thought you were so cool. I was like, who's this kid? He's got a guitar always, and just the long hair and the bandana. I was like, what a cool kid. But I just assumed that we would never be friends because I didn't think that
Everybody
I was cool.
was my friend, man.
I know,
I
and
had I had 1,200 friends.
I know, you were just everybody's friends with. I was like, well, I have friends who are friends with Mark, but I'm not friends with Mark. But I was just admired just you. I was like, I want to know that person, and so now that's so sweet that we're
best friends.
Yeah, you're one of my favorite people on the whole planet. I'm just yes, yeah. That's so great.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is really fun.
Oh, to my studio.
Yeah, your nice fucking, sunny studio. No, it's good.
Yeah.
I'm working on that arm tan. See, my left arm always gets more tan because I drive, so it's really nice to switch it up.
Perfect.
I'm trying to take full advantage of this on the passenger side.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I can help bring balance to your arm tan.
Thank you.
And your life, you know what I mean?
Now we just need to work on that forehead tan because of the helmet.
Just get your lean on over there. You could do just kind of casual, but...
Just gonna start wearing sunscreen from the eyebrows down, and just leave that forehead nice and open. And because I wear my hair to one side, am I gonna have a pale spot?
No, I think if you move it around throughout the day, the tan will just. But when you're moving, it'll be moving a bit,
it does,
and shadows will be cast in different kind of ways.
I need another trim soon. This fight is just getting crazy up here. It's a little nutty.
Yeah.
I kind of like it though.
Yeah.
I look like a pirate.
It's evolving. Well, you could just even clean up the back a tiny.
Yeah, no, I want to tighten the back up a little bit.
Tight. Something that I wanted to ask you.
Yes. Sorry, we're getting distracted talking about my bullshit.
No, I love it. The bullshit's the best stuff because
it can be.
Yeah. That's where a lot of magic happens. Just when things are just going as they're going. Okay. Oh, because you talked about that meditation book.
Yeah.
Do they actually talk about meditation?
No, not at all. It's called Meditations because it's just his thoughts on the philosophy of stoicism. And it was just something that he wrote over a period of years, and just I don't even know if it was ever meant to be published, but it became one of the most famous philosophical works ever.
That's true.
I think he was emperor in don't quote me on this, people, but maybe 160 AD or something like that, just after the BC.
Yeah. Did you ever listen to much Terence McKenna?
No.
Never?
Is that the psychedelic fellow?
Yes.
I like him, I think. I seem to remember him doing a little he's talking about DMT.
Yep.
And he's talking about the green elves, I think.
Yeah.
Which kind of tripped me out. I've heard that concept brought up a few times, the idea of like reoccurring, seemingly sentient visitors. Oh, sorry.
Wow, dude.
yeah, right. Ruin the whole party. But yeah, and if you don't mind getting into it, I've heard two very distinct approaches to the idea of like what these little green people are.
Okay, I definitely want to hear
Or
your
like
thoughts.
elf people.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, if it wasn't Terrence McKenna, I apologize. But I'm sorry. But he talks about them like bearing gifts, which is another theme that I've heard, but like usually these gifts aren't made out of like physical things that you could recognize. It's like the laughter of children and like, you know, the shit like that, just weird things all in a ball, and they try and give you these things. And like I seem to remember his interpretation being that like, yeah, like they're extra dimensional beings that are trying to like help us in our like evolution towards something good. And then I've heard other people say, maybe Alex Jones, maybe not, that this is actually like aliens trying to like get into your psyche, and they're actually trying to like poison you or take over your brain or some shit like that.
Yeah, of course.
And here's the thing, man. If we're gonna be willing to entertain the idea that behind our three-dimensional monkey brain understanding of the world is a thinly veiled other world that we can somehow interact with by taking drugs, which, for the record, fully support. I think that if that's the case, I'll do my part. Okay? But
do it anyway.
If that's the fucking case, like if we just pinpointed a star out there that had an advanced alien civilization that was capable of like faster than light travel and all that shit, do you really think we're ready to say hello? Really?
You don't?
No!
But
Jesus Christ!
Check it out. What if, because...
Dude, if I lived next to crackheads for a long time, okay? When they come and knocking, the Glock starts around. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But, like, it's not necessarily, like, these are not people you want to visit. You know?
I don't think there's...
Like, we are violent, we're dirty, we're irresponsible, we have no foresight, we're greedy, we're unfair, and we're completely incapable of working together on any kind of
right, like
large
we
scale.
should wait till they come to us.
No, we did. Hopefully we'll just get our shit together before they decide we're not even worth the effort and we should probably be removed. Because even though we haven't figured out faster than light travel, we have figured out nuclear fucking weapons. God forbid we ever decide to take those off this rock and go fuck with something else that doesn't belong to us. You know what I mean? And that's so not even remotely like a reality now. But I'm just saying, if I was a fucking alien looking at Earth, looking at and studying the progress of humanity, you're not invited. You can sit at the fucking kids' table until you learn your lesson and start acting responsible, like, or like if you try to like come out and contaminate the rest of the galaxy with your fucking filth and your rudeness and your inconsideration. Like, you're probably going to cause problems for... Like, humans can't even fucking get along with humans. You think we're going to go out there and be friendly and, like, it's all going to be hunky-dory and get along and treat other aliens all nice and cool? It's just like, I don't believe that for a goddamn second. So, if there are DMT aliens, okay, and you're all fucked up on drugs, maybe you shouldn't talk to them. Maybe. I don't know, man. If you know, if you follow my line of thinking, I just don't think we're ready to be having that fucking conversation.
Yeah, okay, so a few things.
Yes.
I feel like if the actual aliens are out there, like, and they're aware of us, because they would be, I'm pretty sure. I just assume that they're, like, more advanced and smarter for some reason. And, but, okay, so one, Latea, tangentially speaking, I looked that word up today, and it is.
You nailed it.
I was like, fuck yeah, I figured it out.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, that's so great. You know the base of a word, and you can figure out the rest of it. You know, if you're like, oh, I know where that kind of came from. Yeah. I was like, tangents. Tangentially. Okay, but check it out. So one, I think that the fact that we're like, conscious... In my car?
Why not?
Can you unroll your window?
I will.
Yeah, for sure. All right. We'll be able to, like, hear how much, it changes. No, it's okay, but, like, unroll it just all the way.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's my lungs, bro.
You're gonna be alright.
No.
It's good ambience.
The smoke.
It's completely aesthetic.
No, that fresh air though is like really,
What a
really
godsend.
nice.
That tree is still holding down most of its job. It's getting close to being useless though.
Really?
Yeah, but it's alright.
But the sun is going down, so it won't be so bright and hot. Okay.
Tangentially speaking.
Nah, I'm bringing it back.
Yeah. Gralians, fucking.
So with the idea of like, that idea of how things that are opposites are one thing. Even the fucking yin and yang all fits in the same circle, little symbol.
That's
it's
true.
like, it's just one contained, this is a unit, a coin, two sides, same coin. You can't have one side of coin without having the other side of the coin. Impossible. You need the two sides.
Unless you live in
right?
like some kind of two-dimensional hellscape.
Oh yeah, I can hardly imagine a a flat world.
Okay, well, I'm gonna save a thought and we'll come back to it.
Can you store it?
We're gonna try.
Okay, try Russ.
All right.
Okay, so then we'll just pick up the pace. Latea, ready, set, hold on, Mark. Here it comes. Okay.
Yeehaw. Ready.
Okay, I think so even though we're all individuals experiencing this life from a different perspective, I think ultimately it's all the same thing. But I think that way about like all things that are like.
Hold on, like it's one perspective, but just shared by many people. Like, sorry.
No, imagine like, let's see.
I just misunderstood what you meant there.
I know. Okay, so
it's tough.
Let's try with my disco ball analogy. So, imagine a disco ball, but actually I changed, not the classic mirror one, but there's one with the light on the inside that shines outside. Right?
I follow.
So it's lit up and shining outside in all these different directions. So like life is the disco ball and we are like the lights that are shining off. So like we're all in different places and we're all up and we're all like shining in different directions, taking up space, expanding outward. But
we all come from like the singular.
But it's all from the same thing. And you think even like when you look at the physical representation of that, of like a single cell, then it divides, and then it divides, then it divides, then it divides. That's just what we do, but with our consciousness. So then I think like that applies to the entire universe. Right. So then I think like if there are other aliens, maybe it's all the same thing because life and all of it is just life. Ultimately is life is one thing everywhere, across the board. Right?
Here's the thing.
Life on other planets, still life, bro. Okay, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, you just reminded me that fucking like I was always curious about the fact that like it seems like nature almost has a sort of sentience of its own.
Yeah.
When there's rapid environmental change, and like I know there's natural selection as a part of it, but it just seems like if you want to refer to nature as an entity, is very tenacious. The fact that just like things seem to find a way to occupy that space, they adapt, right? Life finds a way.
Yeah.
But so I always wondered, like, if I don't know if that is a force that is general, spread throughout the universe, or if that's something that's localized, like a kind of like a Gaia concept here on Earth. And I always wondered, like, if you were to take a group of people and like remove them from a natural environment and put them on something like, I don't know, a spaceship, and send them from like a multi-generational trip across space in a living metal tube with like what would be the consequences of being removed from the potential like network.
Whoa! Oh, like a termite. Like when you take the termite away from the mound.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, dude, if we were to land on Mars, like, would we be bringing like a new fucking like kind of nature, or would it be like the same nature from Earth, or is it just one universal nature everywhere? Because like I don't know, man, but. I think it's like, dude, the fact that I mean, like, and I know there's perfectly reasonable explanations for a lot of things, but I always kind of felt like the Earth kind of had its own force to it. You know what I mean? That's just my personal feeling. I'm not basing that off anything scientific. I'm just kind of fucking far out dude.
Well, you have really good perception because, like, as people are studying these things, they're like, okay, so there's a movie called Fantastic Fungi, but the guy who wrote it calls it Fantastic Fungi, so we're gonna say that.
Yeah.
Right? Hold up. But they were explaining how the like fungus under the forest floor, like how have you heard of mycelium?
Yeah, the fungus mats that kind of connect all.
And so it's literally a single cell, one cell at a time, thread, but just like going throughout everything. And it takes.
Isn't a mushroom patch just a single organism? Like technically, like they're all connected to one thing, right?
A beautiful fucking analogy for life, Mark. Thank you so much. So good. And they'll like take signals, you know, so like if there's a tree that's being threatened by some sort of insect or something, it'll like, that tree will send, you know, messages like down into its roots, but the mycelium are the ones that will carry it from that tree to another tree and spreading them.
Bro.
I know.
What a fucking absolute unit.
Exactly. Nature understands cooperation.
Yeah.
Nature understands like
balance.
just, yeah, exactly. They're like, okay, whatever we gotta do to like keep the equilibrium. Oh, what's that other word? Okay, whatever. I'm tripping over my words. I got too excited and I can't find the word. Anyways, no, not homeostasis. Homeostasis.
I'm not gonna say.
Maybe. Let's go with a solid maybe. Could be the word. Could be, but
yeah, equilibrium. I like that.
That's a good one too. Yeah, but balanced. Keep it simple for those who don't know. You know, for the younger gens, or just, you know, those who don't read much, or people who just like it short and simple. My dad has a sometimes he'll say, use the KISS method. KISS stands for keep it simple, stupid. And I was like,
you know, Marcus Aurelius was a big fan of that. He abstained from using any kind of colorful or like poetic language because he felt that it was kind of like, you don't want any, if you're talking about something important, you don't want any fat on it. You know what I mean?
Sometimes,
which is why Meditations is particularly easy to read, because like it's a pretty simple translation. You can't really misconstrue it too many different ways, which is a problem with like older like Greek texts and shit. But
yeah,
like the Bible.
Yeah, the thing is like when,
don't get me into the Bible. We'll save that one.
Yeah, let's just leave that alone for right now, because I wanted to say quickly for a what?
For a rainy day.
For a rainy day. Yeah.
Oh, but I felt like
What you got?
But it always kind of seemed to me that nature used life as like just a means of kind of moving shit around, man. You know what I mean? Just distributing, I don't, to what end, to what purpose, I have no idea.
Evolution, perhaps.
But like, we break down raw materials, I'm talking about life in general, like lichen and bacteria, break down raw materials and stuff, like those volcano vents at the bottom of the ocean, you got all those weird bacteria just living off like the cosmic goop that the earth kind of just spews out, right? The primordial ooze. And and we just move shit around, whether it's ants and funguses and whatever. You just break things down and you move around over there, and it's just like kind of like you're just trying to but why the distribution? I have no idea. I mean, it's probably just a consequence of like plants and animals and shit doing their thing, but I always just thought that it was kind of neat that, like you said, like it always seems like they're trying to create some, like, fill a vacuum or like take something else from getting too big, you know, like deer populations and wolves, that old metaphor.
Wow.
But like, we're so out of sync. I don't know about you, man, and again, a little hippy dippy, but like I can just feel it. People are sick, man. We're sick. We got earth sickness. I hope that's not some fucking weird hippie shit that people are saying now. No.
But how good do you feel now after like going barefoot in the park yesterday?
It was wonderful.
That was so
Dude, anytime
fun.
I get back to the trees, and it's just like, it's strange, because after about 24 hours of like being in the woods, especially if you're not like a campsite, but like actually in the fucking woods, and there's nobody around, and like your entire perception, like the way that you, even just like your eye movements and stuff, you know what I mean, what you're trying to keep perspective of, everything changes. It completely grounds you. Your anxiety about anything is almost always in the moment. You're worried about bears, cougars, you know, is your footing stable if you're on bad terrain and stuff, and like, you know, being conscious of poisonous plants, spiders, fucking depends where you are, of course, but whatever's going on around you. But like you're not worried about fucking like what happened to you yesterday at lunch, or like, you know, worried about like what's gonna happen tomorrow with the party or any of that shit. You're worried about like watching your footing so you don't step on a rattlesnake. And it's just like, it's such a better way to live. If you ask me, man, because like out there, you know, other than your necessary preparations of survival if you're going out for long periods of time, it's just like you're just living in your own little moment, and you're out there with the trees. The trees don't care about your drama.
Yeah, I like that we get to have both, because I like that we get to have like the luxury of just like, you know, if you're hungry, just go somewhere and just buy the food either made or just go make it yourself, and like, so then we have the freedom to like express ourselves creatively in whatever way we choose, you know, because it's like you're not spending all your time. Yeah, do it.
Hey, I'm just gonna get in there.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Sorry, folks.
Right, like if you're living like really in the wild, you'd spend a lot more time just like making sure that you're surviving, which is great. But I do think that the really awesome thing about humans is like their creative potential and their ability to create and take one thing and turn it into a different thing. Like that's, you look at the world around us and it's all just like a byproduct of human creativity. Someone was like, I should make that.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. What about they imagine something and they're like, oh, that doesn't exist, or like, and they just they use what we have available to us in our surroundings, in our environment, which is like always evolving also, you know, like because people are creating more things, and then we make new shit out of it. Even though like that's something that's like led to, you know, what we see a lot as like the destruction of the planet and stuff. I fucking so believe that it's just like, it's going to, because we have this idea that we're like separate from nature, that we're separate from life. But again, like, I think it's just all the same thing. And even though like, because of what, you know, we do with all the things that we build and all the destruction, like you were even saying, like with, you know, carving and whatever, right? Like, and we think like, oh shit, like we're actually really fucking this shit up. But sorry, Mom. Hey, Latea, find better words. You know, like, hey, Latea, that's the most descriptive words you could find for
We fucked up, Mom.
But I just think, like, that life, and that meaning, like, all of nature, will, like, make adjustments. You know, like, I remember watching, I don't remember what documentary, but it was one about, no.
Well, I mean, just look at, like, rats and raccoons living in the city, right? Like,
yeah.
They just adapted to different routines and got their shit on it. I'm not saying that they're good, and I do believe that removing yourselves too far from nature. Like I don't think population density is a good thing.
Yeah, I think we should like spread out, and everybody should have like.
I'd like us
everybody should have. Who am I should have? You know, but if you can appreciate like what it does for you, like actually connecting when they understand, like there's lots of like studies and stuff done to like, you know, that support that like. You will be significantly like less depressed and anxious, like if you like go right.
Well, I mean, it was funny. They did a study on raccoons, so they tested like wild raccoons that had little to no interaction with human beings. So like they ate mushrooms and berries and like regular fucking raccoon things, dead stuff, whatever, right? And they found that the raccoons out there were not nearly as intelligent. Like they couldn't figure out garbage cans when tested. They couldn't, but they lived like 2 to 3 years longer or something like that. And they were like way healthier and like relatively happier. And then like they analyzed the urban raccoons and like they were fatter, they were way fucking smarter, but they died way sooner and they weren't necessarily happier.
Some live hard and fast, you know?
Yeah,
like,
and that's it.
And who are we to decide what's like, what, you know, how people should live or what like their goal should be. I'm happy. Well, oh wait, I have a thing that I wanted to say actually. The idea, like, okay, so I'm just gonna keep bringing it back to my single idea of like life being one thing, just for the sake of. There's a lot of things that are coming up, like just to. In relationship to that. Okay, so, what did you just? Where did the thought go?
Catch it. It's flying away.
Joe shucks. What were we just talking about? Oh, it's unfortunate.
We should bring notes.
Notes?
Maybe.
I know, but the thing is that I'm always like, oh, I'll write it down later.
No.
That's what I always do. I need to have like a note. I don't know what I've had like. Wow, I thought this was a raisin for a second. I was like, what is that doing?
Sweet,
here?
fine.
My mind. Like so
free raisin. Holy shit.
Oh my God.
It's just a button.
Okay, so like.
I think I saw a couple of peanuts back there.
Probably. Okay. Okay, so if we imagine we're life experiencing itself in like a time-space reality, so time, it's like, because people are born all, like, okay, so hold on. Okay, what was the example here? Oh, like, okay, so imagine there are people who spend their whole lifetime like living in like somewhere like, I don't know, New York,
right,
or something, right? Just like busy, hustle and bustle. Like you're like, you spend your whole life just like
riding the tube and fucking
and going to
some food,
some job to like make a lot of money and
living in your little apartment and
Right. And so like that person might like by the end of their life, they like died with like a strong desire to like connect to nature, or to like to live in like relaxed and free and like not live in the city. And so then like imagine, so like after that death, when someone else is born, they're born with like that desire, because that's where life last left it. So it's like, okay, so imagine that, right? So it's like everything that you learned and because your spirit like grew to like want these things over your lifetime, whether you acted on it and pursued it or not, it's still, you still got there. Okay,
Well,
go on, say your thing.
Well, yeah, no,
I
I was gonna say, because that's really interesting, because the data is pretty consistent that after every major war, when you lose a significant population of like breeding age young men at once, 2 to 3 years, like, you know, in some cases like 20-30% of your male population of like good stock just toast.
Yikes.
Women will produce like 70% more male babies.
They just take
to adjust. Yeah. And there was another one, I might be getting this a little bit confused, but I believe it was in the Netherlands in World War II, and Germany, like they pretty much starved like a bunch of Dutch people, like really, really bad. There was not a lot of food, and it was bad times. But some of the people who were more well off or more sympathetic to the, you know, their occupiers might have been fed a little better, but they noticed that regardless of how well your potential, like your parents were during that time, almost everybody had like because their bodies were understanding that food was scarce. So like that particular next generation of people, once food was in more surplus, especially more like sugary foods and things like that, they had an uptick in diabetes cases, because like their bodies weren't, like they were trying to store all of the sugar and shit. So like it wasn't, so like, but same thing, right? It was irregardless of whether or not the mother who was birthing the child might have been malnourished at the time. The fact that there was malnourishment around was enough to affect the biology of the next generation to be more efficient about storing, you know, stuff they didn't have, which I find absolutely fascinating.
Isn't that neat? So that even just that totally complements like how life just adjusts and takes care of itself. And then with that, you can tie that into like the will to power, in the sense that like so much of the time people are busy like worried about what other people are doing. Yeah. You know, like, oh, either that person, whether it's like they're annoyed or like angry at someone for having something that they don't, or they're like, they want to help somebody and they, you know, they really want to like help somebody in some way, but it's like that's not up to you ultimately. You can be there to like support people and stuff, but like don't make their behavior your responsibility.
Yes.
You know, like
that's a tough one, man.
Because all of your power like comes from you unless you like take care of yourself, you're not that was a cute dog.
Yeah, that was a cute dog. I saw that too.
I was like, oh, and there it goes, little chihuahua. Neat colors though. But yeah, okay, so we're so worried about other people doing things that are harming life,
or their or even just like their lack of your perspective is enough to send some people like over the you know. But
what if it's like, hey, like just find out like what matters to you, and then do what you can from where you are, and like with what you got. Mike Dooley said that. I was like, do what you can from where you are with what you got, and you'll be fine every single time. But that's how I was thinking. But hold on. Shit. No, go on.
I was just gonna say that's actually, it's interesting you mentioned that, because that's kind of a stoicism kind of principle, that like you often have enough to be content. Mm-hmm. Right? Like you most of the time have more than you need, and particularly when you hear that from somebody like Epictetus, who was Greek, who was born as a slave. Mm-hmm. And like just through his application of his own discipline became one of the most renowned philosophers of the classical world. Mm. And people would travel from like all over the Roman Empire to like sit in the dirt and listen to this guy.
Whoa.
Yeah, because like he was that stoic.
That's stoic.
But yeah, that was one of his like defining principles, is just like, like do what you can with what you have, and if you can accept that and just master that. Yeah. Regardless of the distractions around you, like you'll find yourself in a more suitable, advantageous position than if you were to just dwell on like, oh, I lack the means to do so and so. It's like, yeah, but what can you do? You know what I mean? And I think if more people just took care of their own shit and minded their own business.
They would be more helpful.
Yes.
To everybody. Because
the best way to relieve the burdens of society is to be a more responsible citizen.
Yeah. If you
Truly,
if you can't give yourself what you need, why should anybody trust you to be able to tell them
how to distribute anything?
Yeah, it's like if you can't take care of yourself, why do you think that you're here to like take care of anybody else's business? You know, like
anytime I see communists protesting, I'm like, it's 2 p.m. Don't you have a job? Sorry, just a little communist job. Can't help it.
Man, how would you describe or define stoicism?
Stoicism. Oh man.
Because I don't feel like I'm super clear on.
I think the most important things about stoicism is self-control, self-mastery, and mindfulness. And a lot of it has to do with building up disciplines, attitudes, and behaviors that fortify you against. I mean, in a way, almost against weakness and against probably self-destruction. You know what I mean? Particularly like.
Wow. Okay. So that idea is okay. So you have that polarity that exists within you, right? Like good, evil, and every fucking. I want to say dimension. I just imagine you because there's so many different.
It's a spectrum.
Positive. Exactly. Like there's
a lot of gray areas.
And then the idea of recognizing your ego and which part of you is you. That's why people meditate too, to identify, to become aware of the observer. Well, and so so then they know what that feels like, which part is actually me and which part is my thinking mind.
Yeah.
And so to be able to what were the things? Self-mastery, mindfulness, self-control, right?
Self-discipline, yeah.
Self-discipline. And so that all comes with becoming aware of that, of your mind, your ego,
yourself.
So you have that one part of you that is connected to spirit, your higher consciousness, the things that they call in all sorts of different ways. That's why things get a little bit confusing too. I feel like people are we're trying to describe the same thing, but we use so many different words because we all learn different things. If you go to school, study something, you're going to use that kind of language,
well, I always just thought it funny. When you have a thought, who's listening, right?
Yeah.
It's just what are we doing inside? And I do definitely feel there's at least a polarity.
Yeah.
There's at least two different operating systems that have to fucking get in touch with each other. And I mean, that concept is old as man itself. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's just superstition. I think they were onto something, regardless of whether or not it's actually a separate entity. Maybe it's just your brain's way of trying to cancel out some kind of feedback loop or something where it has to look at itself in the third person in a way. You know what I mean? I don't know why. That's never. Maybe it's because of the stoned ape theory. Getting all fucked up on psychedelics and having out-of-body experiences.
Yeah.
Probably fuck up the psychology of your evolution for sure.
Shoot, I was thinking one thing about because Terence McKenna would describe taking psychedelics, or especially with the psilocybin mushroom, he would say it dissolves boundaries. And so at first I kind of understood that as okay, it makes you feel more connected to the earth and the people around you, and I was thinking, I guess I don't know, physical boundaries. But then recently I was thinking maybe he means dissolves boundaries in the sense that we don't have we're not limited by our sensory perceptions.
Yep.
It's so it's not just, you're not seeing with your eyes.
No, that is absolutely true.
Right?
Absolutely. But here's the thing about the boundaries, it goes both ways. So as much as it might change the way that you see the world around you looking out, and I'm not necessarily talking about, but it's the amount of the impact of change and the state of things in your immediate area, given your new perception, you have no protection against them.
What do you mean?
It's hard to describe. LSD, right? I find makes you very vulnerable emotionally, almost to the point of a precocious childlike state. You are very at the mercy of your emotional wind. You know what I mean? You see something that's sad or upsetting, there's not a lot of mental resistance, and I'm sure that's something that you could work on personally and build fortitude for.
But setting, planning.
Drugs are funny. You never know what you're going to be exposed to, right? But yeah, that's something that I found, anyways. Was that I think vulnerable is the best word. Just incoming sensory data and taking stock of my situation, whether it was very cheerful, happy moments, or whether it was shocking moments or scary moments, whatever it was like it hit fresh, as if it was like when you're a kid. Like when kids get scared, they get very scared. They ball up, they run away, they hide behind something.
You have a
know
really scary LSD
no,
experience?
I didn't do that, but I could definitely, like, I felt that level of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, yeah, like emotions feel new. Like I feel like, yeah, because it's just, there's no filter between like my 20 years of life experience on this planet dealing with problems and where I am now. It's gone. It's just it wiped away, and I'm just looking at the world like I'm naked and helpless.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you only have the one experience?
No, I've done LSD. I don't know if I'm supposed to be admitting this on anything, but
I mean, whatever. We can like always cut stuff out if you're like, oh, I don't want to share that. But if you're down to share,
I mean, I don't care. I just don't know what the long-term consequences are. But fuck the police.
Yeah. Coming straight from the underground.
Falling out here, but
Yeah, I kind of figure. One of the reasons that I was. Hey, dude, learn to speak.
Dude, I mean, fucking Joe Rogan talks about DMT and shit all the time.
Yeah.
He lives in America.
And also, fuck censorship. Like, imagine,
Yeah,
you
for
know,
real.
the fact that that's like a thing that.
Well, I would just
is
hate.
actually
I would just
happening,
hate
like-
for any kind of restrictions to be on your podcast. but-
Yeah, we let this baby loose. Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about that.
Okay, cool. Not like I said, it's fun.
Dude,
It's all good.
as if.
But I've done LSD 5 times, and some of them were more intense than others. All of them were good. I had bad moments, but never any terrible bad trips. A lot of my visuals were not anything too crazy. They were really pleasant.
Do you feel like they benefited you in any way?
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing, because after you reach that level of like blank slate mentality, right? When you get to that point where, like,
What do you mean by blank slate?
like all those boundaries are gone.
Right.
Like you see something funny, you laugh till you cry.
Yeah.
You see something scary, you get genuinely scared.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I didn't have too many, well, except for when we took the canoe out.
Fuck, I didn't see anything scary ever. And
Yeah,
that's the thing
we
where it's
took the
just
canoe
awesome
out in the
for me.
middle of a lake, and then a windstorm started, and I tied us off to a buoy so we could smoke some cigarettes and like hang out for a bit, and then the waves started getting crazy, and I couldn't untie the knot because
Oh no.
yeah, because like, oh man, it took me like 15 minutes to put my fucking shoes on.
Yeah, see, that would have just been like that would have just been like a scary situation anyways.
But we were
like-
all laughing though.
but afraid.
Yeah, well, yeah, you had to make a call.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like, you know, like we were even saying, like, we're probably gonna die out here, like, ha 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 ha.
Oh, well, good for you for fucking. See,
But you gotta
he's
embrace the
laughing
moment,
good.
man,
That's
because
right.
like
Die
we're gonna
laughing.
make it to shore, or we ain't. Like, and you know, I'm up there untying the knot. Nobody can come help me. It's a canoe, right? There's no room for 2 up there.
So you got it undone.
I got it undone.
And then what? How was the ride like?
It
Going
was
back?
fun.
Bet.
Oh yeah.
Imagine that.
I've been canoeing like forever, man, since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a great time. I'm a decent swimmer. I don't know. I've never been swimming on acid. More than anything, I was worried about the jellyfish, but
Ooh.
red jelly
Those
won't get you.
really, really bad ones.
Not really. You don't even need to pee on it or anything. You get stung, and it's just like half an hour later, it's fine. Apparently, I didn't.
Would
get
it
stung.
help though?
I don't know. I don't know. Anybody who's ever brave enough to try that, I salute you. I'm not sure if that'd be my go-to.
be honest.
Walk it off. You know. Don't pee on me, please.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, overall, I just feel like, what, do you have an idea?
No, I just feel like we got a little bit distracted. But yeah, you asked me about like my experiences and shit, and like the blank slate stuff.
Oh yeah.
But after, right? So after this odyssey, right? Because I like to kind of stay up late. Let's just put it that way, and then I sleep a lot after. And then and then by the time I'm back to the world and straightening myself out, it's a humbling experience, because like I've regained my all of my cognition and my fortitude, and I've built my boundaries back up, so I'm not such a fucking helpless person who's just at the mercy of what's happening around them, which is fine. I don't mind that part of it. But like coming back to that, it's like I feel I'm much less anxious, and I'm way less confrontational, because I'm sensitive to certain things. And it's not that I don't want to stand up for myself or anything like that, or I'm afraid of confrontation. It's just I don't see, it seems so wasteful and exhaustive, you know what I mean?
When
Because
were you confrontational?
I've never.
But have you ever been?
Well, when I worked at the fucking grocery store, you get a bad customer or something like that.
Yeah, but you had a sun allergy also.
I did.
Things were not going well. Of course you're going to be like fucking annoyed.
Yeah, but well, that was actually, it was, I kind of, I got distracted, but before I even knew what stoicism was, or heard of Marcus Aurelius, or any of that, like, I didn't have anything else to do. I was stuck with myself. I was working night shifts, and, everybody's on different schedules. I wasn't particularly social, and, so I had a lot of time to myself, and just kind of took care of my own little space and took care of myself to the best of my ability because I was in such a terrible way, and that was also a humbling experience, man.
And then when did you try LSD? Was it after that?
Yeah, it was a little bit after that. No, I hadn't tried psychedelics up until after that point. Well, no, the first time I did acid, I think I was living with Sue, yeah, so I was probably still working night shifts. But it probably helped, That was like every time I've ever done it, like I said, like the next month after, just my mentality and the way that I'm like, I try and approach situations. I wouldn't say that I'm like, yeah, like I said, like it's not like I'm afraid of confrontation or bad energy or whatever, but I feel like I'm more conscious of it, more aware, and I'm not as quick. Like people have so many bad interactions in a day just walking around town. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Minor or major. Mm-hmm. Just like things that, like even traffic, road rage, that kind of stuff, right? But it's just like I feel like when you've kind of looked past all the bullshit, it's a lot easier to let that stuff go. And I think that's one of the things that psychedelics are very good for. Just even having, regardless of what it is, just having a different perspective for a short period of time is it's beneficial. Because
then you're like, oh, that way of seeing things is a possibility, and like that's up to like how I shift my focus.
Well, and you just realize
how
that like
I choose to look at
not life isn't as rigid and categorical as you think it is, and you don't necessarily like the more natural side of you. You know what I mean? Isn't fooled by some of the habits and things that you've put in the way of your thinking and like how you interact with ideas and things. And yeah, like I said, just like what makes you laugh, what makes you like. I feel like people suppress a lot throughout their day just so they can maintain a state of normalcy because we all have to go about our business.
And that's almost, no, it's not like a negative thing, but it's like you're not allowing yourself to like let life like express itself through you. You know what I mean? Like you're having these things come up and these like, whatever it is that we like suppress. I guess
things you want to say or things you want to enjoy or like.
Oh my gosh, like okay, so yesterday actually at the park that was so the best time ever because, like before when I was fat growing up the whole time, like it's like if it came to like oh my gosh, in elementary school some kids like kicked a soccer ball and they told me to go get it, and then when I ran to go get it, Raven was like. She was like, don't go get it, because they had said like, I want to see the fat bitch run, and they were like just wanting to laugh at me running. And then once a kid in school, I'm not gonna say his name because like whatever,
just booted it for
he like yeah, I didn't know he said that. Raven was like, don't get the ball, and then like we left and didn't play with him anymore because she was like,
good.
Raven's the best. She was like always just
shout
like
shout out to homie.
Yeah, she would always like stand up for me. Even, and it was so funny because like I was always like I was really big and she was really small, and but like people were mean to me because I was big, and she was just like yeah, oh my gosh, the best. That was so awesome. I know. And then another time someone like threw a ball at me. It didn't hit me, it went past me, and then he was like, go get it, and I was like, no. And then he was like, too much fat weighing you down, and I was like, the fuck, why are people just so mean? But anyways, so like yesterday that we were playing jackpot, and I was just like, I'm like down to
I got too hard.
I went too hard. I was like, you know what, I'm catching this ball, like I will push you out the way, like this is mine.
That's the game. I feel like we should explain that part to people.
Yeah, that's the game.
It's like you fucking wrestle for it, you charge for it, you dive for it. Like the harder you go, the funner it gets. And it's like somebody breaks a fucking arm.
So be it. Someone breaks a neck. You know what? We got other friends for next time.
Yeah, man.
Who needs them?
We had too many players for this game.
No, that was so fun. And I'm like, and I love that I like had those experiences in the past of just like being like wanting to play or do these things, but just like being like afraid to participate because I'm like, if I do, like people are gonna like look at me and be, I don't know, either mean or like offended about it, and I'm just like, well, what the hell, you know? So I would just like be like, just hide. and just not participate. But now I'm like, I'm gonna do all of it. You know, if I want to do it, I'm doing it. And,
See, I've always felt that like I had that attitude where like I never really stopped me from like participating in the things I wanted to, but like I felt that all the things that I wanted were kind of easily accessible. And so sometimes I wonder like fuck, am I playing on like easy mode? Am I sure there's nothing I want to do that's like...
No, I think that you're just like maybe naturally more tuned in to like your the real you, you know, like you're like, and so you like see things in a more optimistic way because and because of that, then things work out for you because you're like, you're not like, oh, looking for things to go bad.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe
like,
my weird is just normal and that's fine.
That's it. That's your thing. That's the thing. Like, you should just honor your thing. Like, figure out what the fuck it is, because nobody can tell you, really. You know, people can, like, give you guidance and assistance and whatever, but they can't tell you who you are.
You know, that was some of the best advice that I ever got when I was a kid. Speaking of psychedelics, somebody, I won't name names, came to me one night when they were...
Don't change.
When they were all fucked up on mushrooms and I was passed out, and I was a young man at the time. I was maybe, like, 14 years old. And they woke me up from a dead sleep, and they were all fucked up on mushrooms, and they said, okay, like I was just in the bathroom, I was taking shit, and I was having a real bad thought, and I was getting all worried and stuff, and just like I feel like I had to tell you this message because no one else is gonna tell you. They don't have the heart. I was like, it should be good, right? I set up a little bit, and they're like, you are totally alone. And they're like, yeah, like it's just you, and it's just me, and like we can like. People help each other, but like at the end of the day, like it's literally just you. If your life pans out, or if it goes to shit, or if you fucking die a hero, or you know, just like shrink into obscurity, it doesn't matter. Like it's just you. And I was just like, okay, like I'm gonna sleep so well.
Imagine if that message came to him, but like it was like up to him to interpret it in a way.
Shitty epiphany.
Imagine if it was like, it's just you. Everything. It's all you.
Oh man, take a step further.
Right? You're like, and so no matter what happens, it's all you. And like, but he's like, it's just me, thinking like that was it. Was like his ego. His ego was like me, and like
I'm responsible for this.
Like, he was like, no, the other one, the observer, the one that you never fucking realized you had inside of you. It's just you. So today I learned that there's a 1 hour limit on this recording app. So
you missed all the best stuff.
Yeah. we found the answer to all of life's questions, and pretty much just emerged as perfect people. I
Not a single flaw.
Yeah. So there's that. But do you feel it in you in any way to like summarize what was the gist? The gist. How do you spell? Who guys? Go on. The gist of it. The gestalt.
Yeah, gist is just short for distill, but nobody can say that with any confidence.
I don't know what that actually means.
Just the short.
Yeah, then that's it. Perfect. Yeah. Gestalt, please.
How do you sum all that shit up?
Pressure, I know.
Just do the best you can to be diligent and self-sufficient and disciplined, and be mindful of your thoughts and how they you know, and the fact that you can control them, and like don't allow useless thoughts to take up space and time that could be better spent being more productive, I guess.
Yeah. Know which you is you.
Which you, I mean, they're both you.
Yeah, but which you is like the you that you want to be. You know, and then like let that you be the one that's like making the important decisions, I guess, or at least keeping the other one in line.
Well, yeah, I guess that would be like the interaction, like we were saying, like between whatever you want to call it, like the consciousness and the soul.
Yeah.
Right?
So check it out, imagine like old spirit, right? Like your spirit is as old
ancient.
As time, you know, as old as life itself, and then
like
you.
Gandalf.
And then you, as you know you in this physical world, you have a birth date, you know, like you've been alive for however many years. I have a social
security number.
So they're both you. They're both you, but one's been around the block a few times, probably. In theory, we're just playing with an idea. Look.
It's fun. And potentially useful.
All right, so, yeah, anyways, I'm just gonna
It can only get better. I mean, the life and the podcast.
So we're learning. Yeah, we probably recorded for about 2 hours, I would say, and it probably stopped halfway through.
We lost a lot of good men out there.
But, yeah. Yeah, so I just want to reiterate that Ram Dass quote that I'm not going to quote because I actually don't remember it.
Sorry, Ram.
But the idea, rest in peace. He's with us, he's probably. Why not?
Is he dead?
Yeah, he died.
Whoops.
Yep.
Oof.
No, now he's with the great everything,
Back to the celestial pool.
Sure. Pool.
I don't know what you call it.
What was it? I don't know. Something about the stuff that really matters happens. What, I fucking butchered it so bad. What was it? The real work happens in the privacy of your own heart. But not even that.
No,
but
that'll do.
But yeah, but so I'm just gonna consider the tail end of that podcast just like real work. I was like, yeah, that was the best stuff, but that's just for us today. So
yeah, we're just gonna take it back to the lab and polish it, and we'll be back with some more bullshit.
Yeah. Okay, but anyways, so this is my friend Mark.
Hi.
Did I even do an introduction? Nope.
They know who I am.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that, even a fraction of the amount that I did, because that was so fun. I still can't believe that probably about half that conversation didn't get recorded, and the way that conversation went, we just gathered momentum and kind of really honed in on and found kind of the root or the core of the topic at hand that we were kind of pursuing. But I guess that little nugget was just for us. But I just wanted to add a little something. Oh, I was just thinking, my quick kind of summary of what one of my favorite parts of that conversation is the message of like having a little bit of faith in the life process outside of yourself and really focusing your energy on discovering what life is supposed to mean to you and what kind of purpose you want. And I was just thinking, like, I wrote this down. I said, life is always participating in the ongoing unfolding of our experience on Earth. Know your part and do that. Trust that things are always working out. Have faith in life. And I'd just like to add, have fun. Have fun. I feel so reinvigorated every time that I hang out with Mark. He's the best. And it's so great. I'm glad that I have multiple favorite people, and he's one of them. And I'm so glad that you got to have a little bit of Mark in your day. So thank you again for being here for the love of life. And until next time.